if you're thinking about diving into one of these things and you want to know what it's like, you're going to find that here. And we're going to be doing some working on the Newell, on the air system. I've never done any of this before, so I'll be figuring it out as I go, but we're going to be changing the engine air compressor governor and the filter canister for the engine air compressor dryer, which is like in the driver's side rear wheel well kind of. Because this thing, you know, I could drive it anywhere. It's been like this since I got it, but like these things need to be addressed before they get worse. Because when I park it, the whole rear end just goes shh, it just sags, and that could be a solenoid issue as well. But either way, my compressor does not hold the amount of pressure that it needs to unless it's in high idle. It's because it's leaking. So I went to a place, Fleet Pride, and I got all that stuff yesterday. We're gonna go put that on here. I'll show you what we're working with. You know, just watered the grass and scrubbed some of this stuff off. This thing right here is the governor for the air compressor. This is the air compressor, and it's engine driven. And when I spray Sippy Bubbles on it, it leaks out of the gasket surface, it leaks down here, it leaks at these bolts, it just leaks. That is basically what, you know, tells the compressor to do. It's turbo referenced, it's tank referenced, I'm not totally sure. I just know I need to change it. Yeah, and something else I gotta fix is this main line that comes through here. Apparently got so hot that it like melted into this loom. I don't know what wires are in this loom. I'm gonna see if any of them are damaged, and I'm gonna have to brace this up out of the way so it doesn't, because this would have caused a problem had I not noticed this now. So we got going on here, got some stuff. This is actually for a separate project. Apple Maps took me down a dirt road somewhere in BFE, Oklahoma, and it was so bumpy that it rattled the bolts out of my exhaust hanger and my exhaust fell off, and it broke the flex pipe. This comes with plugs and new gasket. Pretty straightforward. It would go on like that's how we're looking at it. So 2 bolt holes here that are leaking air, those actually run through to the pump body, so that makes sense that they would leak if this gasket itself is not working anymore, and it's leaking down here. So yeah, this is pretty simple. Take those lines off of there, undo those 2 bolts, pop it off, scrape the gasket surface, put this thing back on. And I did dump all the air out of the system before I did this, because if you unhook that line, it's got 120 psi in there. It's freaking all over the place. So it's got no air in it. I'm gonna put this on, and then when we do the dryer cartridge, it is like way tucked back in there. I'm gonna do that, fire this thing up, air it all the way up, and then put jack stands under there, and then drain the air so I can have better access to that cartridge. And I've never actually used those jack stands before. I had to get them on Amazon. They're like 22-ton big mofos, like not ones that you would put on a car. So we'll have to figure that out too. This thing off here. Okay, well that's bigger. I got the right size for this though. Let's see. That wasn't even tight. Like, I didn't touch this before. That might be why it's leaking. I'm tempted to just tighten it and see if it holds air, but I already have the new part, so I'm just gonna change it anyway, because it's, you know, if this thing goes bad, that's a big problem, so screw it, let's put the new one on. So there's a little airlift in that line. Not much though. Let's get this off. Is anybody else guilty of just doing this with a wrench enough until they can turn it with their fingers, and then just like squeezing the crap out of it and doing it like that? Before I stick the new one on there, I'm going to transfer these fittings over and put the plugs in the appropriate place, because this one right now is totally empty everywhere. So I'm going to dress it all up exactly the way this one is, then it's ready to go. When I bolt it on, I don't have to put that on later. I got the old 90s off the old governor onto the new one, and use this one for reference to add the plugs to the other one. So you got 2 there, on this side, on that side. Good. and I need to go to the store to get new compression fittings for this because I'm not going to reuse the ones that came off. This gasket here is looking pretty goobered, so getting that off is probably going to be fun. I have to scrape that and I'm gonna make sure the surface is all good before I put the other one on there. I'm gonna do some scraping. So that cleaned up pretty well. I don't know how well you can see that, but it's good to go. And this gasket looks to be the same from every direction, so I just check for that. Got that on there. As I thread this in with my fingers when I have tools, but I don't use them as much as I should. At least I thread it in with my fingers to a certain point because I got a ratchet wrench sitting here. And you know, if you're using a ratchet wrench that's too far out, then the head keeps sliding off. You're better off having a socket in that scenario. But I'm gonna look up the torque spec for these. Right now it's just seated, so we're good on that. Well, I went looking for more compression fittings and I was not aware how freaking hard those would be to find. Why? I don't know. Like, Advanced didn't have them, O'Reilly's didn't have them, Pep Boys didn't have them. Like, the heck, bro? Am I gonna have to go to back to Fleet Pride on Monday to get this stuff? Like, why don't, this is a pretty common thing, I thought. I guess not. I don't know. It started pouring down rain and thunder and lightning, and you know, I don't really care if I get wet, but I'm not going to stand out there next to a big aluminum motorhome and potentially get struck by lightning. I think I'm gonna go to the gym because, you know, that's about it. Let's wait it out. Oh, and another thing, there's still a tiny dribble that comes through that skylight now when it rains. So when it rains, I have to leave the cover open or it will drip onto that and saturate the roof, which is not good. I can tell it's already done that before to somebody else, but I'm not letting that get any worse. So I opened that up and I put down the cover of my stove as a little drip tray. So we're really doing it here, you know. Old Newell stuff. It's part of the deal. So I went to the gym, eventually stopped raining, and I was able to find a non-chain small kind of truck stop that was open that had these fittings. So I got a handful of them and I'm gonna put new ones on here because you don't, that's like the main air source. I don't want to reuse a fitting on that, of all things. So I'm gonna get that on there. Then we can fire it up and see if it builds pressure and holds it better than the other one. I'm really hopeful that this helps because before, the whole coach would kind of lean to the driver's side if it was not on high idle and sitting for a while, because regular idle speed would not maintain 120 or 130 psi, whatever it's supposed to be, to like hold the back up. And I read on the Newell Guru forum that it's like 120, 125, somewhere around there. There's like a certain psi that if you're below that, you'll have a droopy rear end, which is exactly what happens to me. In addition to there being an audible air leak under there, which I will have to dig into once I get this thing picked up and cribbed, which is what they call putting jack stands under it. Everything is hooked up. I don't know why it's pulsing. I'm wearing like a headlamp right now and it's looking weird on my monitor, but flip the battery back on. Boom. All right, make sure everything, my tools are out of there. And we are going to go fire this thing back up. Now I got a leak in the air system too, the air brake system too, or the more likely there's like a check valve between the two, like the supply and the brake. The brake's supposed to be separate, but there's a check valve so that if the brake goes down, it will take from the air or something like that. But a common problem is that valve gets sticky or goes bad, so they kind of, if one leaks, the other one will bleed off at the same or a little bit of a rate. The supply drains faster. The brake will follow it a little bit, but eventually they'll both go away, but it's not like a direct something. But once it's got to be something related to that hissing sound I'm hearing. I'm almost positive. I may need to do those check valves too, but we'll get there. It might be I need to do the check valves too, I don't know, but I can't worry about that right now, because right now I'm worrying about one specific thing. And that's how you tackle a beast like this, because on one of these units there's going to be a bazillion places for air leaks, and you'll never get them all doing that. You just gotta break it down system by system, chip away at it. So let's fire this thing up, see where it runs. Low air, huh? Well, that's weird. Yeah, let's see if the brake will build first. High idle. Come on. Do something. Yeah, see, there we go. Once the brake gets to a certain level, then the supply starts to climb. And it's going up now. It's only been like, I don't know, less than a minute. Like, I literally just shut the camera off, sat there, looked around for a few seconds, and it started to go boop. So it's building up pretty rapidly. Now, what I was saying before, how when it was on regular idle speed, it wouldn't stay high enough in pressure. Well, with the high idle on, it would get to like 130 or whatever. I can't remember exactly what it was. It would stay there, and the ride would be flat everywhere, just like, you know, measuring the four points of ride height from the ground to the frame. But when you put it on regular idle, the dryer would do its regular air purge thing where it goes like, whoosh, like, you know, typical semi-truck sound, how they just do that. And then it would dump to like 110, which is more than it should dump, I'm pretty sure. And with it on low, like regular idle, it would not build up anymore. It would just stay at 110. So it would just kind of get a little crooked. It'd be a little saggy. And my thought is, high idle is, I don't know what RPM it is because my tack doesn't work. Something else I gotta fix. But high idle is most likely higher than cruising speed, like in overdrive on the highway. So the engine compressor is not spinning as fast when you're just cruising. Therefore, it's not making all the pressure it should be to keep everything good, which is going to throw off the alignment of the steering wheel. Like whenever I level this thing, I can see the wheel turn based on how it's oriented, like when it's moving. So if this rear end sinks like that, it's gonna make this wheel wanna walk one direction, which normally when I'm driving to go straight, I have to like hold it, like, I don't know, I think it's this way. It's not straight to go straight. Like when I got this thing, I could let go, the wheel would be a little crooked, but it would track straight on a road with no crown. But now it'll pull to the right, even if I'm on the left side of the crown, which to me, I think that's an indication of the air leak. I think the air leak has been getting worse since I got it, because it was not as noticeable right away. But now, like, if I'd go into a truck stop, shut it off, go in, pay for fuel, come back out, like my chains for my trailer would be on the ground. Like it sinks out that quick, which is not good. So that's why I'm addressing this right now. And just since I've been talking, it's built up to about 100 pounds and still climbing, which is pretty good. I'd say it's moving quite well considering that my bags were empty. If the bags were full, holding air at ride height, it should build up pressure quicker than that. But we're also filling the bags as we're adding pressure because it's in travel mode. Let's go take a look outside and see where it's at. I probably look like a coal miner right now. Like, I look like total goop. I got a light on my forehead. I'm wearing a sleeveless shirt, and it's dark outside. I don't know what that has anything to do with it, but, oh, headphones too. You know, you don't know if I'm ready to like go to the gym, play some basketball, mine some coal, work on a bus. You never know. I'm ready for it all. hear it. It's got to be somewhere I just can't see because I've sprayed all kinds of stuff in there and I'm not seeing any bubbles. My calibrated ear tells me that it's just under this frame rail here. Like, that's kind of where I'm hearing it. It's not coming directly from the dryer cartridge, I don't think. It sounds like it's behind it. I really don't know though. I'm going to dig into this further tomorrow in the daytime and do a video on all that stuff too. It's dark, wet, hard to see, and I think we did a good job today. We got the regulator fixed up, or the governor, and it's doing good. So that's one step of the process. And main reason I don't really want to do the dryer cartridge right now is with this all picked up, I'll have to use the jack stands to hold it up so it doesn't, like, because it's gonna lose pressure when I take that off because I'll have it dumped already, and there's no room to reach it with it down. So that's part of it. And if I take it off and something gets messed up and I can't get it back on, then the jack stands are stuck under there. The coach is gonna sit like that, and I'm gonna have to like make my food, take a shower, sleep, and all that stuff with it all, stank bug squatting. So I don't want to run that risk. I'd rather dig into it during the day when I can go get stuff if I need it. I'm just learning as I go. If you got any tips, tricks, comments, questions, anything you want to say it. I read every single comment, and I usually reply to it if it's a legitimate question or something constructive. If it's dumb, I won't reply to it or like it or anything, but don't be dumb. Plain and simple. You want to reply, say something cool, ask a good question, leave some useful feedback. I like that stuff. It helps me figure out what I'm doing and what I should show and not show moving forward when it comes to, like, while I'm working on things. Worth noting that I've been sitting in here letting it idle on regular speed for a while to see what it did, and the pressure like fell below 110, and I was like, wow, that was a total freaking failure. Then I go walk back there, I'm writing stuff on my power list for tomorrow, and I hear the dryer purge. I'm like, why is it doing that? The pressure's so low. And I come back over here and it's at like 120 pounds. So I'm kind of like, oh my God, maybe it's like working right. I don't know. I mean, it did just build up from sub 110 to 120 and now it's starting to dive again. I don't know why. It's like, I don't know, maybe it's just the governor cycling. I'm not sure if it's like operating within a range, like it'll come down and back up, or well, it's coming down because it's leaking, but it probably comes down enough so that the governor is like, all right, time to do something, and then it goes, then it leaks again because I suck at life. But that's the name of the game when you have one of these things. It's not going to be easy. There's going to be 80 million things that you can always do to make it better, or that you need to do to make it better this way, that way, whatever. Important maintenance stuff. I gotta change the oil too. It holds like 10 freaking gallons of oil. Like, man. And this one was in good shape for what it was too. The Dale Earnhardt one was way worse, and that would have had all the same problems and more. So, like, that's just how it is. Like, this is a road-worthy coach right now, but it needs this stuff. They're all gonna be like this. So, if you're thinking about diving into one of these things and you want to know what it's like, you're going to find that here, because this is a pretty well upstanding unit, other than the fact that the last owner did not really do that much to it, almost nothing. But he did it if it needed it, but he didn't really do preventative stuff. Like, I don't think he ever changed the airbags. He probably never drained the air tanks to get the water out of them, like random stuff like that. Like, if it wasn't broke, he didn't fix it, kind of thing. But it could certainly be better. It could certainly be worse. But you can count on one thing: there's going to be a lot of stuff to do regardless. Either figure it out yourself, like I am, or take it somewhere else and throw money at it. Which, I'll be honest, if I had money to do that, I wish I could do that. But really, even if I did have money to do that, I would still do it myself, just so you guys could learn something from it. So with that, we're gonna get to the canister tomorrow and get it up on jack stands, go under there, do some leak testing, and that'll be a separate video because it's dark now and I can't see anything. So hit that subscribe button. If you don't know what a subscribe button is, I'm where a lot of my viewers are older. All that does is notify you whenever I post a new video. It doesn't cost anything. You hit subscribe, then you come onto YouTube, and then you see my stuff on your page whenever it's new. So that's what that means if you didn't know. So hit that button, and you click a little bell too, so then it'll actually send you a notification when I post stuff, which is pretty neat. So we'll see you over there.